My name is Ann Johnson, and I had a lot of fun this week exploring all of these job opportunities. And as I thought about what could I be doing if I had to get a job tomorrow, where would I go to look for it, and what is near and dear to my heart right now. So my goals in marriage and family studies is pretty long term, with quite a bit more education to pursue. But if I did need to get a job, where would I go? As a military family, I started to consider the resources that we've used and the resources actually that I've participated in and given to others, mostly through volunteer work, through the family readiness groups and various community services, and also my background in early childhood development as a family child care provider, and through the community services, the child and youth services through the military, through the U.S. Army. So I went on usajobs.gov and I looked and found family support coordinator was quite prevalent. And even closer to home, I went to the Marine base Quantico. Actually, I just called them and asked for that number to make contact. And sure enough, a family support coordinator is on that base. And they work through the Department of Developmental Services and Community Counseling Services. I spoke with a lovely lady named Marianne, and she talked to me about the working environment and working for such a large organization, and how many opportunities she had to really make a great impact, but also understanding that because it is such a large organization, she didn't really have the freedom to construct a program. It's something that is already predetermined coming into the job set by the facility coordinator. So there is a bit of a limit there, but the hours, even though there's no flexibility in the hours, that is actually a strength for her because it's just Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Some of the typical stressors were less about the job itself and the hours and whatnot, and more about the emotional attachments and watching families struggle, especially young families or empty nesters, or just watching them come into these new areas after having moved so many times in such short periods of time, and spouses going through multiple deployments and separations and whatnot. So watching families struggle like that. But also one of the benefits to that is the opportunity to make such sweet connections with not just her co-workers, but also with those families, and making those friendships with them, as well as giving them services. The typical benefits, this is phenomenal. I couldn't even believe the impressive benefits that came with holding these GS positions. As active duty military family, the benefits are quite substantial. I didn't realize how those transferred over into those civilian workforces. But it is much like the military: 3 weeks of paid vacation, 11 paid holidays, 1 week of sick leave, employer paid life insurance and long-term disability, in addition to the TSB program, which they matched up to 6%, I believe, for employee contribution. The military, or the government, then matched up to 6%. In addition to that, a possible pension at the end as well. So, and of course, if you got a job overseas, that OCONUS position would then offer additional benefits for cost of living allowance, relocation allowance, access to military installation resources. It was quite phenomenal. Common job tasks would be that family support coordinator would connect soldiers and spouses to local resources necessary to help them acclimate to the new area, as well as any kind of behavioral therapy as far as speech, occupational. They would get you in contact with those entities that through the clinics or through the base itself that you would need. So that was quite neat to listen to some of the more creative ways of providing field trips, training classes, and whatnot, just simply to get these soldiers and their spouses connected and networking. So that was quite good. And then something that kind of I was very surprised at was she had to manage a budget and the expenditures that were made within the program. And it occurred to me that it would be a very good idea for me as I go through school to make sure that I am taking those classes. Even though she's not an entrepreneur, she is responsible for those fiduciary funds. And so that is definitely something I want to consider, that if I were in that support role, I would definitely need to understand how to not just spend household money, but to be able to run a program, a financial program. So that was very good to hear her talk about that. Educational requirements, it requires a degree in marriage and family studies with an educational background, or a degree in social work or human services. And with 2 years of experience or 5 years of related field experience. For me, this would also allow me to use those opportunities that I've taken for, it doesn't have to be paid experience, just experience. So with the military, you can take these classes and certifications in volunteer work, and that is something that they would take into consideration when they were doing that hiring process. Some miscellaneous information that I think is quite pertinent is, as a spouse of a veteran, when I go through that hiring process, then even though I would not be hired if I were not qualified or more qualified than someone else, but I would get a preferential hiring if I and another person were equivalent to one another. And this is really important for military families that uproot and move so very often. So thank you for taking the time to listen to my video. I look forward to getting to know you, and I will see your faces and listen to your comments and look forward to forward discussions. Thanks. Bye.